Hello and welcome. Today we have a few new things that I can't wait to share with you guys. So we have the new YSL, the inks. These are their new vinyl cream lipstick. So my order was very delayed. I finally got those. We also have the new Danessa Myricks holiday kit and the Makeup by Mario's Ethereal Eyes in Moonlight. So this is going to be a cooler tone palette than the original. We'll take a look at both of these. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's start off with the Makeup by Mario. So the packaging on this is the same as the original Ethereal Eyes. And then we open this up. We've got magnetic packaging. This is going to have a full-size mirror, and this is the palette. So let's go ahead. We're going to swatch these from left to right, row by row. And we start off with a matte ivory here, and you can see that this ivory is neutral, a little bit of warmth. We've got a little bit of a banana hue to it. Then this second shade, this is a shimmer, and I really like this because you can see we've got multicolored glitter in here. So it is glittery, but we've got like a lot of blue and green glitter, so this is gonna like cool it off a little bit. This next shade is one of my favorites in the palette. It is kind of like a rosy taupe. I think that's really beautiful. So this is neutral with a little bit of cool tones in it. It's not overly cool. This next shade, this one is different. So this is the last one in the top row. This is a different formula than any of the others. This has more of a grippy, velvety, creamy texture to it. And you can see it's a deep charcoal gray. And we do have a little shimmer. So this particular shade is best applied with fingers or a foam tip applicator. Using a brush really shears it out, and in my opinion, you'll see this in the eye swatches, but using the brush really doesn't do it any justice because it shears out too much and then looks a little like patchy. So this next shade here is going to be more of a khaki brown, and it is neutral. And then we have a shimmer. You can see this is a loose champagne shimmer. And again, we do have some warmth in that. Our next shade is another shimmer, and this is more of a taupe shimmer, kind of like a cool brown taupe. And I think this is a really beautiful shade. So we do have some cooler tones in there. Next, we have a matte gray. And you can see that this gray has some blue tones in there. It's definitely going to be a cooler tone gray. And then we go into a warmer brown. This is going to be a matte. You can see it's neutral with a little bit of warmth. It actually looks warmer in the pan next to all those other shades than it does on the skin. It's really going to be more of a true neutral. And then we have another shimmer here, and this is going to be more of a champagne taupe. So it's really pretty. And then our last two shades are both mattes. We have a matte navy blue and a matte black. So this is the Moonlight palette. Let's take a look at the eye swatches while we talk about this. The Ethereal Eyes palette in Moonlight retails for $68 US. According to Makeup by Mario, this is Mario's new iconic palette inspired by Moonlight. 12 universal neutral shades create ultimate versatile ethereal looks with 4 finishes. The 4 finishes include the iconic glossy shimmers, new suede satins, suede mattes, and natural metallics. This limited edition palette is Mario's artistic vision come to life. The shadows are buildable and blendable for versatile, long-wearing looks. It's also ophthalmologist tested and approved. Now, just a few product details. As I mentioned, this retails for $68 US. We have a 1-year shelf life, and this is manufactured in the USA, assembled in the Dominican Republic. We have 12 grams of product. Each shade has 1 gram. And as we're going through the eye swatches, the first shade, which really to me looks more like a matte cream shade, that's actually described as a satin. So the satin shades are going to be the cream, and then the cool gray, the one that's the last one in the middle row. And really, they're more of a matte, maybe a touch of a satin sheen, but they're definitely not what I would consider a true satin. You don't have enough of that finish to it. And then all of the shades with glitter, aside from the last one in the top row that I said was a little bit different, those are all going to be the shimmer finish. And they are supposed to feel very, they're described as a glossy shimmer. To me, they feel more like a loose shimmer. I don't feel a ton of adhesion in these products. They look really nice. You can put them on as a topper with a brush, but if you want to get a little more impact, I like a finger application with these. You can get some fallout with these. They can be a bit messy. And then that last shade in the top row, the one that's a little different, is the metallic finish, and that is a metallic slate. I really like that one. I think that's a really nice formula, but it definitely goes on best with a fingertip application. Once you use that brush to kind of shear it out, it doesn't look as smooth to me, but I think it's a really nice formula and it's got some grip to it. It reminds me of the Guerlain baked formulas. It's a little creamier than those, not quite as firm as those, but that's what it reminds me of. And I have to say, I think it's a really nice one. Then the last finish we have are going to be the matte shades. So that's everything in this palette that looks matte, aside from the first shade, which is the cream, the satin cream shade, and the last shade in the middle row, which is that gray. Overall, I really like the color story in this palette. We have some cooler tones in here, but nothing in here is really overly cool aside from like the navy blue and the black. But the other shades, you know, they lean cool. We do have some cooler tones in there, but it still sticks close to the neutral realm, which is really nice, making it more versatile for a variety of people. But I personally really like this one. I like it better than the original Ethereal Eyes. However, I do find the formulas to be just a little bit on the powdery side, so there's definitely fallout with these. So I would recommend putting on the eyeshadow prior to the rest of your face makeup. You can see when I did the little demos that we definitely had a mess there. So part of that was, you know, my application, you know, I was in a little bit of a rush, but you know, regardless of that, when I do take my time more with this palette, you know, I still get some fallout, particularly from the glitters and the two deeper matte shades. That's where it's going to be most noticeable. So overall, though, I think it's a really beautiful palette. I love the color story. The formulas, though, I think are just okay. So I would, you know, if you're looking for a cooler neutral palette, I think this is a good color story. With the Sephora sale coming up, I think that's a good opportunity to purchase it. Let's take a look at a few comparisons. All right, so we are going to swatch the original Ethereal Eyes, but first I wanted to take a look at the Master Mattes, the neutral. And this palette here, we do have a few shades that looked kind of similar, like this gray. It came to mind right away. So let's see how that compares. Formula-wise, I would say they feel pretty similar. This gray in the neutral palette is going to be a little bit lighter and it has a touch more lavender in it. And then let's take a look at some of these browns here. So we're looking at these two first to see how they compare to some of these other browns in the palette. And let's take a look at this one on the bottom and this one on at the end of the. And well, these two are going to be here and here. So you can see that we do have some similar tones. Overall, the shades in here are going to be a little bit lighter. They have a little bit of a lighter base in there. So they do have a very similar powdery texture, though, to the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight. All right, so this is the Mario's Master Metallics. We don't really have too many close shades here, but let's take a look at a couple of these. I wanted to bring this one out, though, really to talk more about the formula here, because I do think that this formula in the Master Metallics, it's creamier and it's just a little bit smoother. I like it better than the metallic here in the Ethereal Eyes. Sorry, that is Sadie making a mess. But so it's different. I like both formulas, but I do prefer the one, the Master Metallics, because it's just a little bit smoother and silkier. All right, so these are some comparisons from the Master Mattes and the Master Metallics. I'm going to remove these and we'll swatch the original Ethereal Eyes right next to the Moonlight version. All right, so here's Moonlight versus the original. And you can see that the original is definitely going to be significantly warmer version. Everything here has more of a yellow golden tone to it. So let's go ahead and we'll swatch these. You can see our first shade is going to be more peach. Second shade is going to be, again, more peach. And then let's just continue on. You can see we have some orangier shades. You can see even this last brown here, which looks similar to this in the pan. You can see it's significantly warmer. We've got more red in there. And then this one here, which is my favorite in the Ethereal Eyes, you can see is very similar, if not the same, to the shade in the Moonlight, this one here. So let me just swatch those two together real quickly. That one right here. The Moonlight has just a touch more lavender in it. It's a little bit cooler, but those two shades are very, very close. And then let's take a look at the shimmers. And we've got these rosy hues in here. This is a really beautiful, deep metallic brown. And these metallics in the Ethereal Eyes, these are creamier. This is not the same formula as that slate shade in the new one. It's more similar to those in the Master Metallics. And we have a warm brown, a golden shimmer, and then this one here is another favorite of mine. This is like a taupey shimmer. It's very similar to this one in the Moonlight. And then we have a deep cocoa brown. So let me go ahead and swatch this shade here. Well, let's swatch both of these too. So this one and this one directly with this. You can see that these are going to be more sheer. The formula itself feels thinner than that in the original Ethereal Eyes. Color-wise, I do think it's similar to this, but you can see that we really have a much more sheer base, whereas we have opacity to those in the original Ethereal Eyes. So that's going to be one of the major differences between the palettes. It's going to be the formulas and how they appear. I think our shimmer shades here are really more, I wouldn't say they're toppers. You can definitely get enough opacity and build them up to be actual colors, but they have that sheer base to double as toppers, whereas those in the original Ethereal Eyes are going to be a creamier, more opaque product in general, more of like a satin metallic type finish compared to the new version. So this is the original Ethereal Eyes versus Moonlight. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think of these palettes. Let's go ahead and move on to the Danessa Myricks. All right, so I put everything back in the box just so you can see how it comes packaged. I think this is a really cute set. So it retails for $35 US, but we have that $75 value there. So what we get, these are going to be the Balm Powder Flushed products. So these are that blurring powder blushes. And I personally really like those. My favorites are actually ones that I use underneath foundation, and you get the most natural looking blush. So inside we have 2 full sizes and we have 2 mini sizes. So 2 shades are brand new and 2 shades are repeating, but all of these shades are new to me. So I didn't have any of these. So I was happy to pick up this set. So let's start off swatching these. I'm going to go in the order that I did the cheek swatches. So first off, we have Jubilee in a mini. So this is going to be 3 grams of product. This is a repeating shade. So you can purchase this individually. And you can see that this is kind of like a peachy coral. So it's going to be a warm tone peachy coral shade. And one of the great things about this product is it has Upsolite, which is an ingredient that, you know, helps actually absorb oil throughout the day. So it keeps you like looking fresh. It's really great for oily skin. I love these a lot during the summer when I'm like, I get sweaty. This is Spice Latte. So this is a new shade. And you can see this is going to be a nice nude brown. We have a little bit of rose in there. And we also have a little bit of a golden hue. So it actually is gonna lean warm. Here's a quick little Sadie interruption before I kick her out again, but she is continually trying to scavenge packaging from the garbage. She is quite pleased with herself, but we'll see if maybe she'll fall asleep on my feet again, where she was when we started the video. All right, so we have Jubilee, and then this was Spice Latte, and now let's move on to Dancing Queen. This is going to be another one that is a permanent shade. It's actually one I've always wanted to try, but I knew it was going to be pretty dark for me, so I haven't picked it up. But you can see that this is kind of like a fresh bright raspberry. So it's a berry tone. It is cool, but it's not too cool because we have more pink in it than we do purple. And then our last one is Red Velvet, which is a new shade. And I have to say, I really, really like this one. It's not as deep, actually, as Dancing Queen. You can see it's a little bit more sheer. It's a little bit lighter. And this is more of a strawberry red, so it's a warmer red. And it is stunning. So these are the 4 shades in the holiday set. Let's take a look at the cheek swatches. And then for today's look, I actually just sort of mixed the Dancing Queen and the Red Velvet. I really love those two together, but it's a great way to kind of warm up Dancing Queen a little bit as well. And I think it just, having these 4 shades in the set really makes it customizable. And it's a great deal because each one of the full sizes retails for $25 US. So for $35, you're getting 2 full sizes and 2 minis. Now the full size products have 6 grams of product. The 2 minis both have 3 grams. We have a 1-year shelf life, and these are going to be made in China. They are designed in the US, but made in China. Now, according to Danessa Myricks, it says this dreamy set includes 2 full-size products and 2 deluxe mini versions of our multiple award-winning Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder Flushed. Featuring 2 limited edition shades alongside 2 beloved existing colors. It's a perfect way to experience this iconic formula. Now, I purchased mine from Sephora. It does appear to be out of stock there now, but it is currently still available at the Danessa Myricks website. So I'm not sure whether Sephora will be restocking or not, but this product is still available directly from Danessa Myricks. A little more information from her. It says, formulated with Upsolite technology for unrivaled blurring and oil control, this Swedish technology creates a soft focus, smoothing effect on pores and fine lines. Create the perfect flush of color on cheeks and lips with ease. So I use these particularly on the cheeks, but you can definitely use these for a blurred lip look as well. Now for application, you could definitely just tap these on like I did in the demos. And one of the great things about these is you can actually use these underneath foundation. They add a little bit more blurring. You can kind of act a little bit as a primer and so forth. I love her traditional Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder, as a primer or base as well. But you could definitely use these and then put a little foundation on top and do a little underpainting. And that's one of my favorite ways to use these. For the lighter shades, they definitely blend out very nicely and you can use those on top as well. For me, I like to do it the way I did in today's demo, where I put some on the back of my hand, or I'll put it directly on the brush if I'm just using one shade. And then I kind of swirl the brush in that and tap off any excess on a cloth before going in, because these are definitely pigmented products. So you're actually using very, very little product with these at all when you're putting these on. It's a very thin pigmented product, and that's how Danessa Myricks actually designs her line. She believes in using less product. So, you're starting off with something very pigmented that you really don't need a lot of, and that helps use less layers of makeup, letting your skin breathe and so forth. So that's kind of her philosophy, and I think these fall in line with that beautifully. They're one of my favorite products from Danessa Myricks. Actually, they might be, I think the original Blurring Balm Powder as a base is probably number 1, and followed by these as blushes. So I think they're a great product. So just a few quick comparisons. These are the full-size ones that I have purchased previously. So we have It Girl, which is a bright fuchsia pink. You can see I've still got a little shimmer left on my arm from the Makeup by Mario. You can see that this has that same sheer quality as Red Velvet. So even though it's a very bright color, you can put it on pretty lightly. One of my favorites here is Rose and Brunch, which is a really pretty nude rose shade here. And this is probably the one I use the most. And you can see, though, it does have a little bit of warmth to it. It's a warm rose. And then we also have Prima Donna, which I wanted to see how this compared with the Red Velvet in particular. Red Velvet has more red. This has more pink. And you can see that this shade has more of that opacity to it, like Dancing Queen. Doesn't have that sheer quality that Red Velvet has. You can see Red Velvet has a little bit more red. It's a little bit warmer. But Those are probably the closest ones I have out of these. So I hope that was helpful. Let's go ahead and move on to the YSL lip inks. All right, so let's take a look at the YSL lip inks. So this is the packaging. We've got glossy black packaging with a doe foot applicator. You can see this is angled. It's going to be a thinly flocked sponge on there. And then this was actually designed so that when you are putting these like in a drawer, you can put them like this and you get the whole YSL logo and a full heart. So that was part of the design for these. I think these are a fantastic lip product. I really like these. So let's start off with the swatches. We're going to start off with shade 44, Nude Lavalier. And this, you know, is their iconic soft pink nude shade. And you can see it's going to be pretty light. It does look a little bit deeper on the lips once you let it sit for a minute. It's not like a pH adaptive thing. It's more just that once the color dries, you can see it a little bit more. All right, let me try that one more time. I tried swatching it, but my lips kept getting jumbled. This is 611 Mot Provocation, or Provocation. So this is going to be another nude shade. Even though it's called mauve, there's a touch of it, but this is going to be warmer than Nude Lavalier. It's kind of like a soft warm rose, soft warm rosy nude. And then we have 440 Blush Connection, and you can see as these dry how they start looking a little bit deeper. I think it's really the moisture in there, you know, it reflects the light more. So once that dries a bit, you're seeing a bit more of the true color. And you can see that this is going to be a warm rose, more of a medium depth. And then the one that is my favorite is 622. And this is called Plum Liberation. This is one of my lips. This is the one that I keep reaching for. I have worn this several times already. I love this shade. And you can see it is a nice soft plum. We have some red in there, and this is more like a true plum. If you picked a plum off the tree, this is the outside of the skin, just a little bit lighter. So really beautiful tone. It's neutral for plum, leans a bit cool, really beautiful shade. So these are the four that I have. We have 44 Nude Lavalier, 611 Mot Provocation, and then this one here is 440 Blush Connection and 622 Plum Liberation. Let's take a look at the lip swatches. The YSL The Inks Vinyl Cream High Shine Lip Stain retails for $48 US. And I have to say, I do really like this product. When they originally came out with their like vinyl lip products many, many years ago, they were a staple for me back when I was teaching. They were one that I always wore. I don't have any of those older ones anymore, but they were something I would actually use up, and I loved them. These have a very similar feeling going on. So you put it on, you have kind of that cooling evaporative alcohol kind of texture to it, and it's thin. You can feel it dry pretty quickly. And then I go in with a second layer, and you just have this really creamy texture to it. It feels creamy and comfortable. These are not transfer proof. You will have transfer with these, but the color on these really does last well. Your shine on these lasts well. So even with eating and drinking, my lips still look fresh. So these really do, I think they perform really well. So according to YSL, this is a glossy, hydrating liquid lip stain with creamy color that leaves lips feeling moisturized all day. There's buildable color and a high shine finish. This care-infused formula feels lightweight on lips while providing immediate hydration and up to all-day lip comfort. Now, I haven't worn the old ones, the original ones, obviously, in many years. And since I don't have any of those anymore, I can't do a direct comparison. But from my memory, these feel a little bit creamier on the lips. And I think they are so comfortable. I really like these. Formula-wise, these are most similar to the Chanel Rouge Allure Locks and the SUQQU Lip Glow. So we'll take a look at a couple of those formulas in just a minute, but product details, we have a 1-year shelf life. These are going to have 5.5 milliliters of product, and they are made in France. And as I mentioned, they retail for $48 US. Just a note, there is a fragrance with these, just like the previous version. And I have to say, it's actually not overwhelming at all. I would say it is a less intense version of what we see in the lipsticks, maybe a little bit less fruity, but it still has kind of that same fruity vein to it, but it's definitely going to be much softer and less intense. So it's not something I really notice putting on. So, you know, for me, the fragrance is no big deal. Let's take a look at a couple of comparisons. I want to take a look at the two SUQQU lip glows that I recently purchased. So actually one of these was PR. So we have 108 and 109. And as I mentioned, formula-wise, the YSL lip inks are going to be most similar to, you know, a product like this or the Chanel Rouge Allure Locks. But one of the differences is color range. You know, the YSL, we've got lots of beautiful like rosy shades. We've got some lighter shades. The Chanel, if you want to go with the lighter shades, you're getting warm colors. Your cooler tone shades are going to be significantly deeper. They're all like reds and bright pinks. This one here is 109 from SUQQU. You can see that the SUQQU here has a similar texture, but this is really more of a gloss lipstick combination, you know, gloss lipstick lip butter kind of mix. So these do not stain. The pigmentation doesn't last as long on your lips as the YSL. The YSL really has more of that stain base. Think of something like the Chanel, the Duos. So here is one of the Chanel Duos in 172 light mauve. So if you haven't used these, they have two sides. This first side you put on with your color, and it kind of, you know, it acts as your stain essentially. This will go on, it sets, it feels a little sticky and uncomfortable, and then you go in with the other side, which is a clear shiny gloss. So these are great for a transfer proof product. I find these to be a bit drying on my lips though when I use them all the time. The YSL, I haven't had that issue. These will give you kind of a similar appearance to it, but the YSL are going to transfer. They are not transfer proof like the Chanel. But the Chanel have another liquid lipstick that is similar in finish and performance. So this is the Rouge Allure Lock in 92 Seashell, and we do have a much similar finish to the YSL lip inks. If you like the Chanel, you'll probably like the YSL. So I still think though that I get a little bit more of a stronger stain with the YSL than I do with the Chanel Rouge Allure Locks. But again, not as much of a stain as you would get with the Chanel Ultra Tenue Duos. So it's kind of like a hybrid product between those. However, YSL came out with these originally so many years ago. I think this is just an improved upon version. They do feel very creamy, more hydrating. They're so comfortable on the lips. I really like these. So I picked up 4, but I'm definitely thinking of picking up more in the future. So yeah, let me know what you think of these. I hope this was helpful. And overall, quick summation for today. We started off with the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes in Moonlight. I think this is a nice palette. I love the color story. I think the formulas are just okay though. So this is one that if you're interested in, I would definitely try to purchase this one on sale because there are a few, you know, little cons to this. So for $68 US, it's a nice palette, but I would have preferred the formulas to be more similar to those in the original Master Mattes or Master Metallics. I apologize for that noise. That was the dog again trying to steal a brush. But yeah, overall, I think it's a nice palette, but I would recommend picking this one up on sale because you do get some fallout and so forth. But I have to say, I do really like the color story. I think it's a beautiful palette. And yeah, you know, it's nice to see that he's trying something different with his formulas, but I do prefer his original versions of the mattes and metallics. And even so, these are not going to be the same as those in the original Ethereal Eyes. The shimmers in particular are very different because these are going to be much more sheer, much more of a sheer base compared to the originals. So those are my thoughts on that. The Danessa Myrix holiday set where you get the 2 full-size blushes and 2 minis, I think is a fantastic deal. I absolutely love these. Great way to try them out. You can either buy the set for yourself or as a gift or break it up and give different pieces to different people. I think is such a great set and very well priced. And I think if you haven't tried this formula, it's definitely worth checking out. And then we move on to the YSL lip inks, and I love these. So I do like all of the shades I picked up. The 44 though is a bit lighter on the lips than I expected it to be. I thought I'd see that a little bit more. That being said, it's one of those great shades to just kind of throw in your handbag to top things off or whatever. But my two favorites are going to be the 622 Plum Liberation and 611 Mauve Provocation. So these two are my favorites out of the four I picked up. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you very soon. So thanks for watching and have a great day.